Okay.
Now, we may classify courts in Nigeria into two. We have courts of records and courts other than courts of records. Courts of records, courts other than courts of records. Now, what is courts of record? Courts of records can be said to be those courts that have records of their proceedings. That have records of their proceedings. What it means is that the opposite is for other than courts of records. That is, they do not have or keep records of their proceedings. But in Nigeria, virtually all the courts in Nigeria keeps records of their proceedings. And the real difference between these courts is that courts of records courts of records they have the power to punish for content committed within the court, even outside the court, within and outside the court. Courts of records, they have the power to punish within and outside the court. Why courts other than courts of record could punish only contents committed within the court.
Recording in progress.
So we have the second one. Number two is the superior court and the inferior court. It's classified as the superior court and the inferior court. Now, just like the name sound, the superior courts are courts of records with unlimited jurisdiction. Courts of records with unlimited jurisdiction. That is, they can, judge any case, whether it is within the state, within the whole federation. Unlimited jurisdiction means their jurisdiction is the whole federation. It doesn't stop in one state. It doesn't stop in one state. It's for the whole this thing, for the whole what's it called, country. Their jurisdiction is federal, and it consists of number one, Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the Federal High Court. Then we have the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, the State High Court, the customary Court of Appeal, not customary court, customary Court of Appeal. That is to say that customary court has its own customary Court of Appeal.
Okay, you mentioned Supreme Court, Appeal Court. Sorry.
Yes, I mentioned Supreme Court first.
Appeal Court.
Supreme Court first.
Yes.
Yes.
Then Appeal Court.
Followed by Court of appeal, not appeal court. Court of appeal. I want you to learn the correct language of saying it. I told you guys that every subject has its own language. Engineering subjects, they have their own language. Mathematics has its own language. Economics has its own language. When they speak, they will say ceteris paribus.
Yes.
Every time they speak, they must say ceteris paribus.
Yes, you know they never finish.
So in law too, they have their language. Accounting, we have our languages. We have languages we use in accounting. So every subject has its own language. So I will always want you to use the language as it is. We have court of appeal. So when we are dealing with law, you talk like a lawyer. Okay. Then federal high court. Now we have the inferior court. They are the magistrate court, the district court, the area court, the juvenile court, and such other lower courts as Parliament may by law established. As Parliament, when I say Parliament, we are talking about House of Assembly, which consists of what? The Senate and the House of Representatives. House of Assembly is a combination of Senate and House of Representatives, Federal House of Representatives. So when you hear House of Assembly, they are talking about the two House of Assemblies, that the two House of Assemblies, which is the Senate and the Federal House of Representatives. They are the one that form the Parliament. The Parliament. So we want to look at their hierarchy. We want to look at their hierarchy. When we talk about hierarchy, we are looking at supremacy or superiority of the court within the judicial system of Nigeria. For those of us that are writing ATS, it might be a little bit different for other West African countries, but it's almost the same thing. Is the line of difference is very thin. You can really not even recognize it. We have Supreme Court to be the number one. The superior, that's the highest court, and the final court in the hierarchy of courts. Now, Supreme Court deals mostly on as the highest court. It takes care of previous decisions that are made between states and the federal government, or between individuals. Or where there are previous decisions that have been made by other courts without no satisfaction judgment given, or probably the parties are not satisfied. They go to the highest court, the Supreme Court. Or where there are conflicting past decisions of courts. Probably appeal court has taken care of the case, but there were conflicting and ambiguous rules or decisions. The Supreme Court will assist to handle that. Supreme Court has appellate jurisdiction and original jurisdiction.
It has.
That is taking your case directly to Supreme Court, and this is always between states and federal government or individual and federal government. State and federal government or individual and federal government.
That is for Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's Supreme Court.
But not individual, not between individuals. Individuals can go, Abi.
To federal government, if individual against federal government, then state and federal government, then state to state. They can just go straight to the Supreme Court. That state versus state can go straight to the Supreme Court. State versus federal government can go straight to the Supreme Court, and the individual can go straight to the against the federal government. Individual against federal government can go straight. Anything against federal government can go straight, and its original jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction is that no court has decided that case before.
Okay.
Decided the case before. But if it is appeal, appellate jurisdiction, that is a court of appeal has kind of, make a decision on that case. But the people are not satisfied. Like when it comes to presidential tribunal, when they do politics, they do election, electoral this thing can go straight for even between the individual and individual in politics. It will go straight to what? Up to Supreme Court. It is when Supreme Court gives the final judgment that everybody will now go home and accept. But if they go to appeal court can say something and say they don't accept. They will now go to Supreme Court. Example, Fubara versus Wike. Fubara, Governor Fubara versus former Governor Wike State. That's a good example. That's a good example. So we have the High Court. Have you started to speak about the High Court? They have appellate jurisdiction. And they handle appeal court. They are next to Supreme Court. They handle appeals from High Courts. From High Courts. The appeal court.
After Supreme Court, we get to
number 2 in the hierarchy. Number 2 in the hierarchy. They have appellate. They handle appeals.
APA. Okay. Double LET. ET.
ATE. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Now we have different court of appeals.
But this number 2, what do they do? What is their function?
I said they handle appeals from other courts, other lower courts, federal high courts, state high courts, all the high courts. They handle appeal. If your case is handled by all these high courts and you are not satisfied, you go and appeal. That's what they are there for. You go to them for appeal. So they are number 2, and it was formed. It was formed for that purpose. It was formed for that purpose.
What does it mean to appeal?
Appeal is when they appeal to you, they are begging you to come into the case.
To come into something.
I beg, help us.
Okay.
So if you are not satisfied, you go and appeal. And you appeal to appeal court, a court of appeal. You go to court of appeal.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
Next in the hierarchy is the Federal High Court. Is the Federal High Court. Initially, we used to call this court the Federal Revenue Court. It was actually established in 1973. But was named as Federal High Court in 1976, 3 years after. And it was retained by the provision of the Constitution, Section 249.
Okay.
Now, the Federal High Court has exclusive original jurisdiction in all matters pertaining to 1, the revenue of the government of the Federation. 2, taxation of companies and of persons that are subject to federal taxation. Number 3. Am I too fast?
Federal taxation.
Federal taxation. Individual persons that are subject to federal taxation. Number 3.
Done
Custom and excise duties.
Custom
and excise duties.
Okay.
They handle banking, banks, and other financial institutions, including any action between one bank and another. Any action by or against central bank. They handle diplomatic, consular, and trade representations. They handle issues of naturalization, citizenship, extradition, passport, and visa. They handle cases like bankruptcy and insolvency. When a company becomes insolvent, it cannot operate. It doesn't have enough cash. It doesn't have enough cash or assets to handle its business. It becomes insolvent. Individuals can become bankrupt, that they cannot handle their affairs. Definitely, you must be rich to become bankrupt. They handle aviation and safety of aircrafts. They handle any case that relates to arms, ammunition, and explosives. They handle cases of drugs and poisons. So if NDLE catches anybody now, the case will be taken to Federal High Court. That's why they call it a case between the federation and the individual. A case between the federation and the individual. So if the individual is not satisfied, he can go and appeal. If the Federal High Court say go and hang him, he will go and appeal and said, no, what I did does not warrant government, federation to the federal government to hang me. I appeal. When appeal now said, go and hang him, that we agree with Federal High Court, he can now go to Supreme Court and say no. That's why I said individual can also go to Supreme Court on appeal. At that point, the Supreme Court will be an appellate court, not original jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction is what they will have.
The Supreme Court will be at appellate.
Yes, I told you that they have both original and appellate jurisdiction. I said it before when we were talking about Supreme Court. I said it. So, and I said an individual can sue the federal government, just like they can appeal to Supreme Court too. Individuals can appeal to Supreme Court. When you are arraigned by ICPC, you are arraigned by EFCC or NDLEA, that's the drug agencies, the commission agencies, and the crime agencies of the federal government. They take you to Federal court. They take you to federal court. When you have issues on measurement and weight and measures, you go to Federal High Court. Then administration, management, and control of its agencies, and any issue on treasons are taken to, what's it called?
To High Court.
To Federal High Court. Treasonable felony, like Nnamdi Kanu. Now he's appealing to Court of Appeal. If he's not satisfied again over the judgment, he will go to Supreme Court.
But he has been. But he's been condemned already now.
Condemned already doesn't mean he cannot appeal the condemnation now. They sentence him to life imprisonment. He will go and appeal now. I tell them that what he did does not warrant him going life imprisonment. And the appeal court will look at it and say, yes, federal government, you are wrong. Based on the law of the federation, constitution, you are wrong. Or yes, you are correct. If they said you are correct, go and serve the court, the sentence. He will go to Supreme Court.
Is it not Supreme Court that charged him, that condemned him?
No, it's Federal High Court too. It's Federal High Court. He has not even gone to appeal court. He has filed in appeal court, yeah. Or maybe he has gone. I think they've started the case. I can't remember now. I can't remember. I think they started this case in an appeal court. He has gone to appeal court now. There was a time they said they brought him to appeal court. He has appealed it. But he can appeal it from the prison now. That's where he will be appealing it from. Are we there? Then we have the State High Court. This one was brought about by Section 225 of 1999 Constitution. Section 225 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And this one established the
1999 Constitution.
Abuja. Yes, what are you saying?
You say by 1999 Constitution, right? As amended.
As amended. Yes. As amended.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
They also have original jurisdiction relating to civil cases. State High Court, they have original jurisdiction. And criminal cases. They can, adjudicate on criminal cases and can exercise appellate jurisdiction too on decision of inferior courts, such as magistrate court, district court, and so on, customary court. It is also called a court of first instance. A court of first instance. A court of first instance. It has original jurisdiction on cases of title or ownership of land, divorce petition in respect of statutory marriage.
No.
When they talk
Has
about statutory marriage,
original
we are talking about,
jurisdiction on land
you
cases.
say? You
Its
say?
original jurisdiction is on land cases, Abi.
It has original jurisdiction relating to civil cases that include matters relating to the determination of title or ownership of land. Title of land or ownership of land. It has an original jurisdiction because most of the land, is owned by the state, not the federal government. Most of the land in Nigeria is owned by the states. So many a time, the state high court handle such and divorce petition in respect of statutory marriage.
Okay.
And other civil matters other than those under the exclusive jurisdiction of the Federal High Court. That's those items that are on the exclusive list relating to those items that the federal government is supposed to take action upon. They also have original jurisdiction that includes felony and offences such as murder, armed robbery, rape, theft, fraud, corruption, and so on. The court has power to impose punishment up to the maximum death sentence, as the case may be. Sharia Court of Appeal.
That's number 3.
Sharia of
Number 4.
Appeal is another classification of court.
Under number 4.
Is it number 4 or 5? You have Supreme Court,
Okay.
Court of Appeal, number 2. Number 3, Federal High Court. Number 4, State High Court.
Okay,
Then number 5, Sharia Court of Appeal. Now, this is not Sharia court, so this is Sharia court of appeal.
But it is for Sharia now.
In the section 260. Section 260 establish the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to have a Sharia court of appeal. Section 275 of the Constitution provides that there shall be, for any state that requires it, a Sharia court of appeal for that state. A Sharia court of appeal for that state. Now, this Sharia court has appellate and supervisory jurisdiction in civil proceedings. But in the areas involving questions of Islamic personal law, that arises from the area court. For example, matter relating to marriage, succession, and guardianship of infants under the Islamic law. Number next, customary court of appeal. Section 280 of the Constitution provides that there shall be, for any state that requires it, a customary court of appeal for that state. This court of appeal also has appellate and supervisory jurisdiction over the proceedings coming from appeal from customary court on questions of customary law, such as inheritance and marriages under customary law. Then we have number next, National Industrial Court. It is to, adjudicate on trade disputes. So it was established by the Trade Dispute Act of 1976 to serve as final arbitrative court in labor and industrial relations disputes. The National Industrial Act or the National Industrial Courts Act of 2006 established the above or the former, which gave the court the status of a superior court of records. Matters of this court, or matters can come to this court based on the referral of the Minister of Labour and Employment, either directly or on the rejection of the award of arbitration tribunal. Now, the National Industrial Court Act of 2006 tried to remedy the anomaly of not being able to take your case directly to the court by allowing aggrieved parties to take their case directly to the National Industrial Court without prior reference to or by the minister. In 2006 has changed the issue of the minister, referring you to the National Arbitration Court, National Industrial Court, sorry. Number next, magistrate or district court. This court follows all the court's decisions. It follows all the court's decisions above them. However, the decision of the courts below, such as customary courts, area courts, Sharia courts, as the doctrine of precedent is not applicable in this case to magistrate court. We talked about precedent in the previous class, so you will understand what I'm trying to say here. District courts are found in some of the northern region of Nigeria, and a single judge constitutes this court. A district court is a court of civil jurisdiction. Which is equivalent to magistrate court. Then we have customary courts and area courts. Some of them have civil jurisdiction. That is, they deal more on civil matters. Then they are graded as grade A and grade B. they are consist of a president and at least 2 or 3 members, as the case may be. Now, international law refers to bilateral and multilateral treaties, conventions, as well as global and regional charters. These all form part of Nigerian law. Once the National Assembly passes an enabling statute with a E, statute with a TUTE, to effect, immediately they pass it as provided by Section 12, subsection 1 of 1999 Constitution as amended. The registered trustee of National Association of Community Health Practitioners of Nigeria and others versus Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, 2008. There are a lot of cases that try to buttress the point that bilateral and multilateral treaties, conventions, as well as global and regional charters are part of international law. Now let's look at how the National Assembly, how do they get to passing their law? There are process that the legislative arm of government always follow, particularly in a democratic government. Many a time, it starts with the introduction of the bill in the 2 houses. That's the Senate and the House of the Federal House of Representatives. That is at the federal level. At the state level, it is the State House of Assembly. At the local government level, it is the councillors that are the legislative arms. So the bill, their edits, most times the law they pass is called edit. Hello, the edit is for state. Sorry, edit is for state. Edit is for state.
Everybody outside. What happened? It tasted to you. Okay.
Now, a bill is proposed
Okay.
that is intended to become a law. That is intended to become a law if it is duly passed. There are two types of bills. Number one is public bill. Number two is private bill. Just like this name sound, number one, public bill means the matters that affect the interest of the public, such as security, education, housing, health, etc. A private bill, however, on the other hand, deals with what? Matters affecting interest of groups, locality, region, or profession. Now, before a bill becomes an act of law, or it becomes an act or a law, it will pass the first reading. Now, after the first reading, there is the vote for the House to consider the bill. After discussion, it will be sent for second reading. Now, the House will debate on the principles behind the bill at the second reading. And this debate usually focuses on the main principles rather than the details. At the end of this, a vote is taken where there is a majority vote that supports the bill. It will progress further to the committee stage. Committees will be formed in the House with a committee chairman to examine each clauses of the bill. But for finance bill, mostly the whole House will sit as a committee for finance bill. Those type of bill, mostly the whole House will sit. But for the committee stage, a special committee is formed for such bill. Then from there, it will go to the reporting stage. the committee has the power to amend some clauses as they deem fit, but it will be voted on and passed at the report stage, where they will now send, report it back to the House, stating the amendments and further amendments may be made by the House to the bill. Then it will now go for third reading. This is not compulsory anyway, but sometimes some of the members might recommend it based on the rules of the House that it should go for third reading. If after that there is a majority vote, it will be passed to the President of the Federal Republic to assent to it, to sign it, to assent to the to the bill. The same thing goes in the State House Assembly, even in the local government. It's the same thing. It's the same process. When the president, the governor, or the local government chairman signs it, what it means is it will become law. To become law.